It was a night cloaked in the biting cold of the Russian winter, a night that would forever alter the course of the Second World War. Deep within the Wolf Lair, his heavily fortified headquarters in East Prussia, Adolf Hitler stared at a map, its surface a chaotic web of arrows and symbols. But these were not the triumphant arrows of Blitzkrieg that had once redrawn the map of Europe. These were arrows of retreat, of desperation. The date was December 19th, 1941. Just days earlier, the Wehrmacht, the seemingly invincible German army, had been brought to a frozen halt at the very gates of Moscow. For months, the world had held its breath. Operation Barbarossa, the largest land invasion in human history, had seemed an unstoppable force. City after city had fallen. But now, the tide was turning. Outside, the temperature had plummeted to unthinkable lows, freezing tank engines, jamming rifles, and inflicting more casualties than the enemy. The legendary General Winter, Russia's oldest and most formidable ally, had arrived. Inside the bunker, the air was thick with smoke and unspoken fear. Generals, men who had once promised a swift victory, now stood with grim faces, reporting catastrophic losses of men and material. Hitler, who had always believed his willpower alone could bend reality, was confronted with a truth he could no longer ignore. His intelligence chief had just delivered a chilling report on American industrial capacity, a sleeping giant now fully awakened by the attack on Pearl Harbor. The sheer numbers were staggering, promising an avalanche of planes, ships, and tanks that Germany could never hope to match. He looked at the map of Russia, then at the Atlantic, and then at the skies over Germany. For the first time, he was not surrounded by enemies on a map, but by the walls of his own closing fate. He had dismissed the United States as a decadent, mongrelized nation incapable of fighting a real war. He had believed the Soviet Union would collapse like a house of cards. He was wrong on both counts. That night, in the frozen forests of Prussia, surrounded by his increasingly doubtful commanders, the dream of a 1,000-year Reich began to die. It wasn't a single dramatic moment of surrender, but a creeping, cold realization. The war was no longer a war of conquest. It had become a war for survival, and it was a war he now knew, in the deepest, most private corners of his mind, that he could not win. The world didn't know it yet, but the beginning of the end had just begun. Thank you for watching. If you found this glimpse into history compelling, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the critical moments that shaped our world.